Everything changes and nothing changes. Like this game constantly crashing on PC.
Well, I should have known.
Welcome to 2025, where $100 games will work eventually, and $60 games will run like this. Today, we're here to talk about Mindseye. Enter my Mindseye and hear my thoughts on this game. I've watched a lot of gameplay footage, and it was a game that actually I was very excited about before it launched, and then it launched. What is Mindseye? Well, Mindseye is a game that takes place in the distant future, where you play as Jacob Diaz, a former soldier with a mysterious neural implant. Now, this game takes place in a future that is so future that wheels don't even move. That's how you know it's futuristic, right? When wheels don't move anymore when you drive. You know what this means? This means you can soar on through the game, but just be careful that you don't veer too much from the path that you're on your mission, because if you go a little too far to the right or a little too far to the left, you will fail. Because in the future, we take our missions very seriously. We take our gaming very seriously. You better stay focused or you'll fail. But totally fine if you take out some civilians along the way. You know what I'm saying? At least a few. Don't take out too many when you're at work, but like a couple here or there, that's all right. The game isn't just a problem in the sense that wheels don't move or that for some reason for missions you can take out civilians. It's also just not great in terms of how it sounds. While the cinematics look good, the music in this game is awful. Like, honestly, they should have just gone to Epidemic Sounds, which is where I get my music. Not sponsored, but just saying in comments, people always say how great the music is in our videos here, and it made me think how bad this music is, because it sounds like worse than a great YouTube video sound. You know what I'm talking about? It's bad, man. So the sound issues don't just end with the music that is in the game, which I think is so just basic and redundant and boring, but the sound design in the game is also not great. The guns don't sound satisfying. They're also not fun to even play with. A lot of the guns are boring. Charlie, when he was playing it, Moist Critical, was actually talking about how the sniper rifle, you may as well just play with that throughout, because at close range, it operates like a shotgun, and when you're further away, it operates like a sniper rifle. So it's just basically like a shotgun with range. So either way, it's the best gun in the game. There's not a lot of diversity when it comes to what's fun to play with. The other thing is that the guns just don't make sense with the way that they work. Like, for example, the rocket launcher has no splash damage. So you just shoot a rocket launcher at someone's feet, but because you didn't hit them, nothing happens. That person just walks around like, la la la, now it's all good. Like, what? That is not how those weapons work. The reason that I was so excited about Mindseye, if I can just take a second to breathe and calm down in this review here. The reason that I was actually excited about this game, for people that don't know about Mindseye, it is made by a new studio, Build a Rocket Boy Studios, which is actually headed by a former Rockstar head who worked on a lot of the previous GTA games. So when we heard about this kind of split off and this new company that was coming into being, a lot of people were excited to see what they'd be putting out. I saw the trailer and I thought, this looks kind of pretty. It looks interesting in terms of the concept, and that's why I was really excited about it. And I have also heard, to just talk a little bit positively about it, I guess, to try to find some kind of silver linings here, that the cinematics, which I think actually do look quite good for the most part, those look good. The landscapes also apparently look pretty nice at certain times. That is when the game is not struggling to run, which happens pretty much consistently, I think, across all platforms from what I've heard. I think the biggest problem with Mindseye is that it sells itself as this linear action-adventure, very story-driven game. And what it actually feels like when you play it seems to be more like a driving simulator meets something like Operation. Why do I say Operation, the board game where if you use tweezers and you touch the edge, you lose? Well, it doesn't just have to do with the failing of missions. It also has to do with the actual driving in the game, which I've heard the driving itself feels fine. I mean, it's so so smooth, the wheels don't even move. But the biggest issue with the driving is that as soon as you tap something with your vehicle, all hell breaks loose. You're either going to completely lose momentum, you're gonna shoot straight up into the air and get launched somewhere. Possibly you'll die, possibly other folks will. And then the other issue with that is that sometimes you'll get launched and you'll be okay, but your vehicle will be stuck in an area where you can't get it out. Now, you can get out of the vehicle and get out of the area, but the vehicle's stuck there, and you can't drive it out of the area because it's stuck, and it doesn't respawn, which, you know, I guess makes sense. This is the future, right? It's not like we know how to respawn things, right? Y'all, Pong could respawn the little white dot when it got lost, okay? And we can't, in 2025, respawn your vehicle. What is happening? So when your vehicle gets stuck in those areas, what people are having to do is actually go back to a previous save and then go from that point. So saving in this game is very important, which should be hilarious if I play it, because I'm notorious for forgetting to save, to the point that on my Twitch, I actually have a channel point redemption that's called Save Your Freaking Game to remind me to save my freaking game. People are gonna really need to use that one a lot for me here to help myself. The other issue with the whole driving simulator aspect of this game is that the driving isn't even necessarily like a fun element in the game in terms of how it's utilized, because what the focus of it really is you're usually in a chase scene where there's dialogue happening, and the whole point of that driving segment is to get the amount of dialogue out for the story to move forward. So you're just having this conversation, and the chase will basically end once you're done having that dialogue, and then it ends, and then you move on. So it's not really even based on like getting to a certain objective. It's really just survive while we're talking until we've gotten that part of the story out of the way, which means it's just filler, which is the worst. I mean, I think the best games are games that are mechanics first, where they focus on, and this is all games, by the way. This is TCGs, this is board games, this is video games, all games. I think this is the best way for people to build them. Focus on mechanics, make sure those are solid, and then, find ways to build out from the mechanics, integrate the story into that. And if you can have the mechanics and story really melding together beautifully, then that's when you get a really good game. Now, this is a game that has mechanics in it that are basically just there to like hold the story. So it's really sounds that the mechanics are just there to kind of walk you through the motions, which is not fun or interesting, especially because I've heard the story is, no spoilers, but lackluster, boring, cool concept, bad execution. And it doesn't just end with the story or the driving or the music or some of the graphics issues in the game, some of the issues with the game even just running. The animations in this game have also been poor, like the falling animation. It looks terrible. The people that worked on Mindseye are basically calling up the devs from Gollum to get some notes on a proper falling animation. That's how bad the falling animation is. There are whole mini games that also exist in Mindseye that just seem to be broken from the gameplay that I've watched with this, and apparently they just released a patch that's supposed to address some of those issues, where they said they basically reduced the difficulty on some of those mini games to fix that issue, which I've heard does fix it, but not because this is really a difficulty issue, but more because this is just the mini game doesn't work issue. And so now we've actually at least fixed the fact that it's, was unplayable before. I was also really excited when this game got announced because I saw the price tag for it was going to be around $60 US, which in Canadian money, colorful Canadian money, translates to, I believe, $79.99 is what it is on Steam, plus tax. And that was awesome because, a lot of games these days when they're first launched, they cost over $100, these AAA games. And from the trailer, I thought if they could release a AAA game that has a compelling story and is sizable enough and is fun to play, and it's only 60 USD, that would be pretty cool. Unfortunately, I then found out the runtime of this game, which is apparently about 7 to 8 hours. So not exactly what I would have been hoping for this to be a competitor in comparison to other AAA games. And in fact, from the whole quality of the game, it's definitely not AAA. Might want to be, but it definitely is not. And even if you take into account, my style of gameplay, where my playtimes tend to be a bit longer because I really like to explore the world, I don't even think me playing this, it would take that much longer, because exploring the world just doesn't add much time to the gameplay from what I've seen. Not only is this, it's not an open world game, so there's only certain areas where you can really explore anyways, but even when you do get to explore, the game just looks really empty. Like, I know this is a desert, but I also feel like they set the game in a desert because basically there's not a lot around in deserts that you need to worry about. So it feels at times just like there's nothing going on. Even when you're in the cities, sometimes it looks pretty empty to me. The final nail in the cyber coffin, though, when it comes to Mindseye, was really when I heard the latest news, which is that PlayStation is actually offering a refund on this game. PlayStation and Sony, and that is important because if you don't know this about them, that's not something that PlayStation and Sony usually do. Sony doesn't usually offer refunds on games. They are notorious for being difficult to get refunds from. Now, there are exceptions, and I would say the last time I think they did anything like that was with Cyberpunk, which was a game that when it launched was broken, right? So not only did they offer refunds, but they also delisted the game for 6 months. So it's not looking good for Mindseye that they're willing to offer refunds, and that Sony has literally said they're looking into like what's going on with the game. So that sounds like a big yikes to me for Build a Rocket Boy Studios. The other thing that is a little bit concerning, I guess, with this, less of a final nail in the coffin and more of just a little addendum that I want to add, is that IO Interactive is unfortunately the publisher for the game. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that they developed the game. They didn't develop the game at all. They just published the game. However, it does kind of suck because IO Interactive is also the folks that brought us Hitman, and also the people that have just had, I think, a great, successful announcement on the 007 game, which a lot of people are really hyped for, myself included. And so to see their name attached to this project and to see it do so poorly, it's just really sad because they're kind of like at a peak right now, and it just feels like this is raining a little on their parade, even though, they didn't develop it, but still, it's attached to them. And, it is going to probably affect their relationship with Build a Rocket Boy Studios because they're going to think twice, I'm sure, before publishing a game from this studio, especially without it really being looked into. And that's why I do think it's important for publishers sometimes to be a little bit more involved in the development process, just so they can make sure that they're not putting their name on a dud. But hey, games got to get published, even games like Mindseye. So, well, actually, do they? Yeah, I think they do. We needed a game that was terrible this year. We haven't really had a really awful game, I think, yet that's been in the public eye like Mindseye. So I'm a little bit grateful that we had something to humble us, because the year has been so insane for just amazing games so far. So I did feel like I kind of needed a break from all of the awesomeness. I only have so much time to play games, so it's nice to know there's one that I don't have to prioritize. However, that being said, like when Gollum released, which was another game that I was really rooting for and wanted it to be good, because I know everyone was like, who even wants a Gollum game? And I was like, I actually think that sounds interesting and would like that game. Then I played Gollum and it was so bad. Bought it day one and I had such a fun time playing with it, even though it's janky and broken and terrible. That game is awful. And so because of that, and because of how bad this game is looking, I can't deny that I kind of want to play Mindseye, and I think that is the best way for people to enjoy this game. It's just to watch content creators, streamers, entertaining people that they enjoy their content play this game that is awful. And it's weird because it was also at the top of Twitch, which I think happened just because so many streamers were playing it for the lulz. Definitely the only people that are boosting the sales of this game in any respect, which I can't imagine it has made really very much money at all, even with that, even with it being at the top of Twitch this past weekend. So if you want to watch me play something like Mindseye and and suffer, and maybe we'll have to return to Gollum at some point too, then you can definitely check that out. You can check that out here on YouTube over on the live tab where I stream. I could actually be streaming right now. Or if you like Twitch and you're ever over there, I'm also over there at twitch.tv/vampex13, and I simulcast. So I stream on both at the same time, so you can catch me on either platform. Make sure you check that out, especially if you want to watch me play something like Mindseye, which I might do. And let me know in the comments if that is a thing you want to watch, or, you know, how you feel about the release of Mindseye. Do you feel that we need bad games? Do you hope that no games are ever as bad as this ever again? Let me know your thoughts on that. I'll see you guys in the next video, and until then, friends, as always, stay nerdy. Bye! And if you missed my video where I talked about another company's failings, Bungie, you can check that out over here. Oh, we talking about Marathon.